Hi there, I'm Cathy Woods, author of Yoga for Riders and creator of Body Mind Equine, which is a program that I created that combines yoga and horsemanship. It helps people to become more mindful riders, more aware equestrians, from on the ground to in the saddle. I teach a lot about the parallels of yoga and horsemanship, and there are many, which I reference in my book. Today we're going to be doing a demonstration with a horse and rider of some breathing with your horse, some postures while on horseback, and then what I call a meditation in motion. So the segment we're going to do today is called the Mindful Equestrian. So there are many parallels again between yoga and horsemanship. I've been teaching yoga about 30 years, and about 12 years ago I created this program where I combined my two passions, yoga and horses. I'm not a horse trainer, I'm not a riding instructor, I'm an equine enthusiast and a very avid trail rider here in the Smoky Mountains. And I was noticing what I was doing in my yoga practice, I was naturally applying to my horsemanship. When I say yoga practice, I don't just mean the yoga postures. I mean the whole of yoga, the principles, the mindfulness, the body awareness, the breathing awareness, meditative awareness, and energy awareness. And those all come into play when we're working with horses. I would notice things like if I was on my yoga mat and my body didn't feel quite aligned, I would micro-move and self-correct. I would also notice the same thing if I was riding and noticed my shoulders maybe felt a little tight around my ears. I would consciously drop them down. Or maybe my weight did not feel symmetrical in each stirrup. Maybe I wasn't sitting equally on my sitting bones. So awareness from the mat translates to awareness in the saddle. And not just in the saddle, but even being around horses. So horses are highly in tune beings. They are picking up on our energy, and through things like breath work and meditation, we can actually shift and alter our energy to a calmer, more relaxed state. We can refine our nervous system, our horses can pick up on that, and hopefully I'll illustrate that to you in our demonstration today. So I'm happy to be here with you. I hope that perhaps you will join me somewhere around the country at a ranch, a resort, an equestrian center for a Body Mind Equine retreat. They're really rich experiences that combine yoga and horsemanship. And I hope you'll check out my new book, Yoga for Riders, published by Trafalgar Square Books. That's horseandriderbooks.com. And to learn more about me, go to cathywoodsyoga.com. So happy trails, namaste, and enjoy the presentation. So I'm really happy to be here and presenting this virtual demonstration. And I'd like to introduce our model, Melanie, and her beautiful horse, Freya. And they're going to be demonstrating a little segment that I call the Mindful Equestrian. So again, this is how to use yoga and yoga principles to improve your horsemanship from ground to saddle. I also want to take a moment to thank the Cherokee County Saddle Club for allowing us to use their beautiful facility today, and that's here in Murphy, North Carolina. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin our Mindful Equestrian segment with Melanie on the ground next to her horse. And it's very important what energy we bring to our horsemanship. It's also important what energy we bring to life, right? So are we bringing centered, grounded energy? Are we bringing nervous, scattered energy? Are we bringing sleepy, tired energy? So it's important to kind of establish what energy space that we're in and that we want to be in. Of course, our horses respond better when we are in a more centered, grounded space. They are such highly in tune beings that they quickly pick up on our energy, and certainly if we're nervous and scattered, they can very quickly mirror that back to us. So what we're going to do here on the ground before we get mounted is just have Melanie and Freya take a few moments to kind of look toward each other, look at each other. And I just call this segment breathing with your horse. So in yoga, we're not talking about just postures. There's breath work involved too. And breath work is a great way to tune in, to ground, to connect. So I'm going to have Melanie face her horse, Freya, and place a hand on her chest. On her chest? Yep. Step in a little closer so you're kind of here. There you go. And just take a few nice deep breaths. Make sure your feet are hip width apart. And also with your hand near the nostrils there, you can feel Freya's air entering and exiting her body as well. So Melanie, tune in with your own breathing and take some very slow, deep, mindful breaths. Just beginning to get yourself centered and grounded. And you in the audience, you're welcome to do this along with us. Just breathe deeply, sit or stand. Feel centered. And Melanie, breathe up earth energy into your feet and up through your body and feel yourself very grounded and interconnected, not just with the earth, but with your own heart and with the heart and energy of your horse, Freya. So just syncing up your breathing with your horse's breathing is a really simple exercise that you can do that helps kind of center and ground you both. In yoga, you'll hear the word prana. Prana means life force energy. While Melanie's breathing with Freya, let me talk a little bit about energy. So it's believed that we all have energy. That's what allows us to be animated and alive. And the same prana, the same life force energy that flows through each of us, flows through these trees, the birds, the earth, and your horse. So in essence, in yoga, we believe that everything and everyone is interconnected. The word yoga actually means to yoke or to unite. So just taking a moment here to unite with Freya. Take a few more deep breaths and then drop your hand down to your side and just notice how you're feeling. Freya's very relaxed. I don't know if you all can see this, but her lip is relaxed and kind of twitching a little bit. So when you relax, your horse relaxes. So that's the first segment of what we're going to do. And next we're going to mount up. So after Melanie was doing some breathing with her horse, we've had her go ahead and mount up. So I want to talk a little bit about the yoga postures on horseback. I am not an advocate of doing challenging yoga poses on horseback. I do not believe in standing on your horse's back or headstands or downward dogs. So this is not just a for fun kind of challenge. The postures that I like to illustrate on horseback are poses that actually have some value and some benefit to helping the rider become more body aware. I always say yoga is an awareness practice. We have an opportunity on the yoga mat to become more aware of ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. The more we do that on the mat, the more we become integrated, collected, body aware, breathing aware, energy aware, then that translates to our time in the saddle. So we can bring that same mindfulness and body awareness and breathing awareness to our time in the saddle. So the postures that we're going to be illustrating today actually have some value and some benefit to helping you to become a more balanced rider, to be more centered, to be more aware of body alignment, to be more aware of where you're storing tensions in your body and knowing how to release those. So what we're going to do is just start with Melanie looking forward out into the distance. And without judging or changing anything, Melanie, I want you to just take some inner inventory and just observe how you're feeling. You don't have to comment, just notice your breathing. And just notice if your breathing is fast or slow, deep or shallow. Notice if you're breathing into your entire lung space or just a portion of your lungs. And then bring your attention to your body. And again, you all out there in the audience are welcome to join us in this as well. Notice if any areas of your body are calling your attention, where they are, what they feel like. You're not trying to fix or judge or change anything, you're just noticing. Now notice your mind. Is it focused? Is it scattered? Notice the quality of your mind at the moment. And then I'd like you to notice your overall energy. Again, we talked before about sometimes we're centered, grounded, sometimes we're nervous, scattered, sometimes we're sleepy, tired. So just notice what is there for you energetically on the whole. And I'd like you now to begin what we call three-part yogic breath, also known as the complete breath. So in my book, Yoga for Riders, you'll see a whole chapter on breath work. It's very important to infuse your yoga, whether it's on the mat or on your horse, with deep mindful breathing. The breathing actually has a direct impact on our nervous system. It helps to refine and calm our nervous system. And again, our horses can feel that. Additionally, there's a direct link between breath and emotion. So if you were to feel fearful, anxious, nervous in any way, the breath pattern tends to shallow to a short rhythm. So deep mindful breathing can be a way to bring our nervous energy down, help us to become more centered and grounded. So Melanie, we're just going to breathe deeply, starting the breath from the belly, expanding the belly, and then let that breath transfer up into the rib cage and then into the upper chest. And then as you exhale, let the chest deflate, the ribs contract, and let the belly pull inward at the end of the exhalation. So having her hand on her abdomen really helps her to tangibly feel the breath and know if she's breathing deeply. We habitually can become shallow, just chest breathers. So in yoga, I invite you to breathe fully and deeply. So three-part breath. Feeling belly, ribs, and chest expand with each inhale. Exhaling out the nostrils and feeling the chest, the ribs, and the belly slightly contract. So we're being mindful of using our entire lung space. Now, I'd like you to continue breathing that way, but I'm going to have you rest your hands on your thighs and touch your thumb and your pointer together on both hands. This is called Janana Mudra. So in yoga, mudras are symbols. This helps to seal energy, and this is the symbol of wisdom or knowledge. So just either eyes opened or closed, just take a few deep belly breaths and just connect with your own inner wisdom, being open to receive any guidance, any intuition, any awareness. And any good equestrian knows intuition is a keen skill to have. So just tuning into our own inner knowing. Good. And then slowly open your eyes and just relax your hands. And we're going to start with a little bit of movement, starting to wake up the body gently and mindfully today. Some of this stuff you can do while you're watching if you'd like to join us. So Melanie, I'm going to have you start with just some simple shoulder rolls. Just rolling your shoulders in any direction that feels good. They can be back, forward, you can even shrug them up and down. And Freya's wondering what she's doing back there. And then drop the shoulders down from the ears once you're done. Take another deep belly breath and just notice the areas that you just moved. Notice if you feel any new blood flow or energy in the shoulder space. The next thing we're going to do is simply illustrating moving with the breath. Often, again, we can hold the breath if we feel nervous or challenged. And on the yoga mat, we learn to move with the breath. We can transfer that to our riding as well. So, Melanie, I'm going to have you inhale the arms up, both arms up overhead. Gaze slightly up so the neck gets a little stretch. And then exhale, float the arms back down and looking forward again. And do that a few times. Inhaling up, slowly exhaling, lowering. And do this at your own pace a couple of more times. So syncing up the movement and the breath. And this time just let your hands just rest. Take a deep breath. Again, just feel what you just did. Let that soak in. Next, we're going to move into a spinal twist. So keeping the spine supple is very important in riding and in life. Keeping a healthy back can translate to keeping a healthy body. Many nerves run along the sides of the spine. So we're going to wake up the spine here a little bit this morning. So I'm going to have you take your left hand and put it on Freya's right side, right wither. Good. And the other hand on the hind quarter, or you can use the back of your saddle. Now keep in mind, these can be done in an English saddle, a Western saddle, or as you'll see pictured in my Yoga for Riders book, I do some of them bareback as well. So as you exhale, twist into the spinal twist, take a few deep breaths, and then slowly inhale back to center. Come on back around, pause there, put your hands on her withers, take a deep breath, And then we're going to do the other side. So before you twist, go ahead and place your hands in place. Before you twist, pull up tall out of the waist and then exhale into the posture. And look over that back shoulder so the neck is also involved in the spinal twist. And we'll go ahead and have Melanie do that again each way. Inhale back around to center. Pause there. And then when you're ready, go ahead and do the other side. Looking over that back shoulder, involving the neck. Take a few deep breaths. A lot of internal organs here, getting a squeeze, a press, a detox. It's very healthy for them. Come on back around to center. And when you're ready, twist the other direction. So you can take these stretches to whatever level of intensity or lack of intensity that you choose. Not every posture is going to be suitable for everybody. It's also wise to have a friend hold your horse while you're doing these. And then she's back around to center, feeling the spine hopefully a little more supple and free. So now we're going to take the arms out in front. I'm going to drop the lead line and hopefully Freya will stay ground tied for a moment. And we're going to take the right arm over the left, cross at the elbows. And then we're going to intertwine, try to keep those elbows crossed. And if you can, grab your hands, and some of you may not have the shoulder flexibility to do that, and that's okay. You can have the hands apart, but keep the elbows crossed. We're going to inhale lower, and on the exhale, press the arms up. And we're going to inhale lower, again moving with the breath. Exhale on the exertion up, and maybe do that a couple more times. So on the yoga mat, you might recognize these arms as what we call part of eagle pose, the arm portion. So some of the postures are modified when we do them on horseback. Obviously, we're not doing the legs as in a balance pose of eagle, but just the arm portion. After you've done 4 on each side, just slowly lower the arms. Rest the hands when you're done, back on your legs. Moving slowly with the breath. Feeling the areas of the body that are getting attention. Now when you pause there, notice if the right shoulder and right shoulder blade feel any different than the other side you haven't stretched. So typically the arm that's on top is getting the deeper stretch. Of course we want to keep symmetry, so let's do this on the other side, placing your left arm over the top this time. Intertwine and inhale lower, exhale on the exertion up. And do that 4 times with the breath. Inhale, lowering, and exhaling up. Staying in the present moment, staying in the here and the now where life is happening. That's what yoga can help teach us on the mat, in the saddle, and in our lives. Being present to the sensations, the breath, the movement. And once you've done 4 of those on that side, you can lower your hands and rest them and observe the left shoulder and shoulder blade. Now we're going to take the arms around behind, interlace your fingers, and this posture is called yoga seal. You're going to open the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades toward each other, raise the arms slightly, and you never want to feel pain in yoga, whether it's on the mat or in the saddle. It's okay to feel a slight discomfort or a little challenge and breathe through that challenge, but never take these stretches to the point where they are painful. And then slowly release the arms, and then I want you to just be present and feel what I call as the second half of the posture. That's the release of energy, the release of tensions and tightness from your body. Now we're going to inhale the arms to a T position out to the sides, both arms. And take some deep breaths. So if you do yoga, you will recognize this as the arms we use in Warrior Two pose. So this is a good opportunity to be aware of body alignment. Sometimes we think that we're aligned and symmetrical, and then when we look out, maybe one arm is lower, one arm is higher. It's helpful to have a friend here to look at you and make sure that you look symmetrical, and Melanie's both arms are indeed at shoulder height. Now, if you want to make this a little more challenging, you can add a twist to it. So inhale, center, and then exhale, twist to your right, and look out over the back fingertips. Now, be aware not to drop that back arm, keeping them both at shoulder height, very nice. And then slowly come back around to center, continuing to keep the arms at shoulder height. Go ahead and lower them down and take a little break. Take a deep breath. And then of course we'll do the other side. Mindfully inhale the arms up with the breath at shoulder height. And then make sure you're breathing fully and deeply, that you're not holding the breath. And as you feel ready, twist to the left. Very nice. Keeping both arms shoulder height, keeping the breath moving. And then take it back around to center. On an exhale, lower the arms. Good. And then here's a nice little stretch for the front body. It's called reverse warrior or uplifted warrior. So I'm going to have you take your left arm up and your right hand place on the hindquarters or the back of your saddle. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, slightly arch back, looking up toward those fingertips, toward the sky. Feel the heart and the chest opening. Very nice, beautiful. And then bring that arm down in front of you at shoulder height. As you come forward, pause there, and then exhale, lower down. And other side, inhale the right arm up, turn that palm toward your face. Exhale, grow in the waist, arching slightly back, looking up at the fingertips and feeling that sweet stretch in the front body and the back. When you release, come back to that arm at shoulder height, fingertips pointing forward. Take a pause there, and then slowly lower the arms. Just check in with yourself at this about halfway point. Notice how you're feeling after doing some movement and some stretches. We're going to move into the hips. This is not a stretch for everybody. You need to feel really comfortable doing this, and again, very smart to have somebody hold your horse. So this would resemble what we do on the yoga mat called pigeon pose. Great stretch for the hips, and as we know, it's important to keep the hips supple and flexible, and our hips and low back very much interconnect. So keeping the hips open and free also translates to a healthier lower back. So I'm going to have you take your right foot and bring it up across right in front of your saddle. Yep, perfect. And kind of drop the knee out a little bit. Good. And just adjust as needed. Take a few deep breaths. And this may be all the further you go. So I'm assuming you're feeling some stretch in that right hip. Nice deep breaths. Imagine sending breath, energy, and oxygen down into that hip, helping it to soften and release. This feels really good, especially after riding. I'm a trail rider, so a lot of times on a break, I'll do a couple of these stretches or even dismount and do some stretching on the ground. Now, if you wanted to intensify this a little bit, you can begin to fold forward slightly. You can put your hands on Freya, very nice. Drop the head so you're not creating any neck tension. Again, make sure you're breathing into that hip. And you might want to hold this maybe 2 to 5 breaths. Again, listen to your own inner voice. And then slowly come on up. Releasing the pose, pause there. Mindfully release that leg and put the foot back in the stirrup. And notice how that hip feels. Notice if it feels any different than the hip that you've not stretched. Yes, excellent, good. And then we're going to do this, of course, on the other side. So taking your other leg, your left leg, and putting it across. And just feeling that hip beginning to open. Now here's the thing, you're going to notice one side feels different than the other side. We typically have one tighter side and one looser side. Through awareness practices such as yoga, you learn which is your tighter and looser side. And just breathe down into that hip. And if you feel inclined, you can fold forward a little bit using your horse for support. Continue to breathe deeply. Again, the hips and low back interconnect, so both are getting a great benefit here. And when you're done, come on up slowly. And feel how that feels.
It's a big stretch.
Good. It is a big stretch. And again, not suitable for everybody, so listen to your body about that. The next one we're going to do is similar to what we would do on a mat called triangle pose. So you're going to take your left arm and place it over the wither with your palm facing out. So like so. And then you're going to raise your right arm and your eyes are going to follow the fingertips, and you're going to use your horse slightly to press against so you're in that nice T position with the arms. Take a few deep breaths, again keeping the spine supple and flexible here, and then slowly come on out of the pose. pause before going on to the other side. So often we want to get ahead of ourselves in horsemanship, or even in yoga, or even in life. Like, hey, what's next? We just did that side. Let me hurry up and do the other side. Take your time. Learn to slow down. Your equine partner will really appreciate that. So when you're ready, there, do the other side. Nice deep breaths. And when you're through, just slowly come on out of the pose. And we're going to do one more stretch. Just take a few deep breaths. Make sure you're staying with that 3-part yogic breath. And when you are ready, I'd like you to raise both arms over the head. Inhale them up. And come into temple position. So your pointer is going to be the only thing extended up. Now squeeze your ears with your arms. And I know that's a little hard to do with the helmet, but as best you can. And then slide the arms slightly back so you're really feeling a lovely opening in the chest and shoulders. And take a few deep breaths in what we call temple position. So keeping the upper body free from tension and tightness. And then we're going to come down on an exhale to heart center. So slowly bringing the hands to the heart. And you can have eyes opened or closed. And just stay here at heart center and breathe deeply. So we begin our session with Janana Mudra. We're going to close our session here with prayer position. Thumbs to the heart center. Take a few deep breaths. And just taking in the experience you just had with yourself, with your horse. Take a moment of gratitude. Being grateful for the moment, for Freya, and anything else that you'd like to call to mind gratitude about in your life at this time. And then slowly just rest the hands on your legs, allow the eyes to open. And when you first mounted, Melanie, I had you check in with yourself, your breathing, your body, your mind, your overall energy. I'd like you to do that again. Take some inner inventory now at the end of our session. And if you don't mind, I'd like for you to comment if you're feeling any different, and if so, in what way? What might feel a little bit different to you?
My hips feel more open
Okay.
from the pigeon pose. My shoulders, I feel like I can really open my chest, and the scapula can go more down my back.
Okay.
And that's very important in dressage, that you have a beautiful alignment.
Yes.
So I feel like I will be able to not restrict her movement now
Excellent.
and be more fluid with her.
Right. Any shifts that you can sense in your breathing or your energy from when you first mounted?
Much more calm and settled.
Okay, good. Yeah. So a little bit goes a long way. Again, it doesn't have to be intense yoga postures. It doesn't have to be a super long session. So the next thing we're going to do here is what I call a meditation in motion. So often we think of meditation sitting cross-legged on a cushion, on the yoga mat or on the ground, but we can also do what's called a waking meditation, being fully present. So I'm going to lead Freya around, and before we do this, I'm going to have Melanie just do a little body scan here. It's okay. So I want you to bring your feet a little more forward. Good. There you go. And I want you to feel if your weight is symmetrical in each stirrup. And then I want you to take a breath and breathe that breath into your feet. And the feet are engaged, but not overly engaged. So we don't want to use more energy than necessary. We talk a lot about that in horse training. I'm not a horse trainer, but I do know about using as little energy as possible to achieve a desired result. Yogis say the same thing, whether it's in life or in your horsemanship. Don't use more energy than you need to. So now bring your attention to your legs and take a nice deep breath and let the breath flow down into the legs. They're engaged, but not overly engaged. And relax any excess tightness or tension in the legs. Take your next deep breath and breathe that into the hips, softening the hips. And just take that next deep breath, breathing into your entire torso. And as you exhale, let the shoulders drop down away from the ears. releasing any last bits of tension that might be remaining. And then breathe your next breath down into your arms, your hands, and your fingers, and let them soften and relax. And if Melanie was holding reins here, the horse would feel that you're taking a deep breath, because anytime you pick up a lead line or your reins, you are transmitting energy to your horse. So when you do that breath into your hands and you're holding your reins, your horse will feel that and likely respond in some way. Now breathe your next breath into your neck and your throat and soften any tensions there. And then breathing the next breath into your face, your head, your ears, your scalp. Mouth closed, but jaw is not clenching. Soften the tiny muscles around the eyes and soften your gaze. So in mounted meditation and motion, it's an exercise in mindfully riding. So much of what we do in life, we do on autopilot. We're not aware always of where our body is in space and time, or what we're feeling, or even what we're doing. We're a lot of times dwelling on some past event or projecting into the future, and we end up missing the present moment. Remember, the past is history, the future is a mystery, the present is a gift, and that's why it's called the present. So I'm going to lead Melanie around very mindfully, and I'm going to talk her through a little guided meditation here. So are you ready? Take a deep breath. You can have your hands wherever they feel most comfortable and safe. And we're going to begin to slowly move forward. And I'd like you to just tune in with your breathing and make sure you are indeed taking some nice, deep three-part breaths, belly, ribs, and chest, expanding and contracting. And we're going to go around again. The next thing I want you to do is feel the parts of your body that are moving. We're going to just keep it nice and slow, tuning into the parts of the body that are moving. Next, I'd like you to tune in to feeling the air on your skin. Be that aware that you feel the air on your skin. Now be aware of that air entering and exiting the nostrils. Be aware of your hearing range and any sounds that come into that range. Be fully in the here and the now. Be present. Be present to your horse. And see if you can detect what foot is off the ground, being that aware. And then we're going to come back to center here. And take a few deep breaths and just be present to the experience you just had. So I talk a lot in my Yoga for Riders book about the parallels of yoga and horsemanship. And one of those parallels is on the yoga mat, when we get done with our postures, we stop and we go into a moment of deep relaxation, also called savasana. And that's a way to celebrate what we just did, the movements, the release of tension, the wellness. And it's important in our horsemanship too to stop and celebrate the moment. So Melanie, just stop, breathe, relax, be present to the experience you just had. And how are you doing? Good. So that was just a little bit about the Mindful Equestrian, mounted meditation, Yoga for Riders. My program that I teach nationally is called Body, Mind, Equine, and I offer this at ranches, resorts, and expo centers around the country. If you want to learn more about me, CathyWoodsYoga.com is my website, and my book is published by Trafalgar Square Books. It's Yoga for Riders, horseandriderbooks.com. You can order it there, or you can go to my website and link up there. And I hope we get to meet you somewhere at another expo, or perhaps at a Body, Mind, Equine retreat. Happy trails and namaste. Namaste, Freya. And namaste, Melanie. And namaste means I honor your inner light. Thank you all so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Mm.